Hey
Hi.
guys,
Hi, we are noform, and I'm Nirajana.
my name is Rahul Verma.
And so happy to connect right now with all of you. Um, it's a little bit strange because we don't see anyone, but I do feel that we are reaching out to a lot of people, like-minded people like us. So a little bit about myself. I am designer and product developer for fashion, and I've been doing this for more than 11 years of my life. I've been pretty much traditionally designing for fashion across different platforms like fast fashion retailers, e-commerce, and exporters, and that's what I've been doing. And Rahul here.
So we graduated together in 2008. That's how we know each other. In my career, I have worked as designer, pattern cutter, illustrator. I also have a master's from London, where I spent three years, and then I moved to the US, where I taught in a university at BA and MA level fashion design. And during this time we kept in touch.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember how much fun we used to have working on school projects
Yes,
together.
yes.
So I think we had that understanding all along, and we kept in touch and just kept discussing what's happening in the fashion industry, what is working, what is not working, where do we see challenges, where do we see opportunities. And this is how we came to form No Form last year.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk more
Yes,
about?
yes. So, how No Form started was, obviously it was very organic because we had been in the industry doing various things. In between, I also had, I had launched my own label, which was an avant-garde menswear line, and all these different experiences and experiments that we'd been going throughout our professional lives separately kind of came together last year when I mean, it was a very simple thing that struck us that, the way, there's n number of unsustainable practices that we saw all throughout. And obviously, there was a lot of changes that were happening in the meantime, and a lot of advancements as well. But somehow we felt that for a future ready fashion industry we need to do something more, like something more than something could be more approachable for even the fact that we were from India. Like how could we how could we make a difference here in what we do. Right. And what we do best,
And
right?
it's so crucial for us to be here in India because we have been a manufacturing country, but now we are also a global hub of technology, IT. Actually, Bangalore, this city where we are based, has got both sides of the word, and we kind of see ourselves in the middle.
Yes,
So the
yes.
fashion industry and the IT technology industry. And we obviously realize that there is a need in the industry to do things better, more sustainably, as well as educate people. I think changing the mindset of people is where we want to start, because we don't want to sell any idea to anybody who doesn't understand why they are doing that. So part of the No Form's vision statement is also future ready education. We want to train people and educate people about the digital transformation or more sustainable ways of practicing fashion. That is also one of the goals.
Yeah, and also the fact that we are a service provider. I mean, we help companies and brands throughout their journey of design development, and how fashion tech and conceptualization can be used to have a better, efficient and sustainable ecosystem for fashion manufacturing or even the consumption of fashion. So that's pretty much what we do. And did I miss out anything? No, I think.
That's what we do. I
Yeah.
mean, currently we are established as service provider, but we do see ourselves venturing out in many different areas in the future. We're still very young, so this is exciting time to be functioning in this sort of discipline of that is a cross between fashion and technology. I do want to stress on the fact that since we have been in the industry for like 11, 12 years, we understand the traditional ways of doing business, whether we're talking about sampling or production or merchandising and selling, all of that. We understand how that has been done all these decades and how some of those, not some, I think pretty much
Yeah.
all of those systems are not working anymore, and how we can bring, like a fresh approach, a digital approach to at least eliminating what is not essential. Ultimately, of course, fashion is all about physical fabrics and garments, and we don't want to say that we can do everything digitally, but obviously that's not practical. But our goal is to at least do things digitally that can be done digitally while eliminating everything that is non-essential in the entire supply chain of fashion business. And that's what makes us different, because we understand both the sides of the word, physical and digital, pretty well, and something that our clients do kind of acknowledge.
Yes.
So I don't know about you guys. We did have another live streaming on 20th. That's when I spoke to my traditional designer Kawaki from London, and we talked about how we collaborated on a look and created that together, which was a lot of fun. There are some teasers on Helsinki Fashion Week's Insta page, so if you guys want to check that out. But the show is going to happen next week. But today we are here to talk more about what we do and just share some of our ideas for the industry.
Yeah. Like, like Rahul said, like the digital transformation it's not something that happened even recently. It's something that's been happening for a long time. Like our industry had been using fashion tech in manufacturing for a long time ago, like, in various ways, in various forms, be it pattern making or drafting or cutting in wholesale manufacturing. So what we are talking about here is what is where are the nuances of converting something which is traditional or in a traditional way to convert into something which is 3D or digital. So I'll just give an example of something that I've been trying to do. So I had some of my sketches from my archive, which was like pretty old, and I was just looking at it now. Like, obviously, fashion tech has also moved for the last 10 years. Like what we had when we were graduating or learning fashion was very different from what kids today have, right? So we were pretty much, it was like a fun experiment to try and use 3D to convert those 2D sketches into, visualize it in a digital ecosystem. So maybe Rahul, you can talk about some of your experiments too, because I think we have something to.
Right. So I would like to share the screen here and show you guys as an example of one project, like a mini project or personal project that I did. I hope my screen is visible to you all, and here it is. Oops, sorry, not that. Well, I hope you guys all can see the screen, and we're not just talking to ourselves. Okay, perfect. So, as an experiment, when we were starting off last year, we were talking about a lot of ideas what we wanted to do was kind of test how this is going to work. Over here, what you see is a sort of comparison between a physical sample, which is obviously the one on the left, and the digital one on the right. And what I want to talk about is not the literal process of making it. There are plenty of tutorials online to do that. I want to talk about the uncanny similarity between both of these approaches, as well as just sort of analogy and knowledge that you need to do this. So this is something I did long time ago, 2012, I believe, and obviously I kept all the patterns, something that I cherish. But there was a time when I had no space. I was moving out of the U.S. and I had to get rid of things. So I decided to just have them scanned, So that's also, in a way, digitization, right? So instead of having these paper patterns on your table, which take the physical space, they are now just taking the space of my laptop.
Yeah.
They're taking space in terms of MBs
and you could do some experiments on them too.
Right. So that was my way of just preserving that, something that I so well cherished. But that's when the idea came that why don't we take this and kind of turn that into an actual 3D sample and then see what we learn throughout that process. So the first part is obviously was to digitize them, and this time in a sense that you could take those 2D patterns and put together to create a virtual 3D sample. The underlying principles are the same as what you would apply in pattern cutting. So you have to watch out for seam allowances, notches, ease, all those fundamental principles, grain lines, for example, that you would learn in a fashion school otherwise. Some comparison between how the sample looked between these two very different words, and I think throughout the process I was very surprised. Even the problems, like sometimes the problem you may face with the physical sample, you face the same problem in the virtual world, and that was just very uncanny for me. Not to say that the outcome was very much identical. Here, that was a great learning. Things like taping the armholes so it doesn't stretch. You do apply those principles in 3D as well. Things like, taking a little bit of, ease to make it more fitted, or take a tiny dart to make it fit better. Those things, that knowledge you do again apply in 3D. Here's some analogy between some of the early stage of the development, where I kind of had to look for the weight the fur was gonna add to, to the torso part of the jacket, and kind of like make some sort of decision based on that. But once again, the shape looked very identical in a way. Construction knowledge is important, right? So you have to know what goes where and what would you do in a physical sense, and then again apply those same ideas and solutions, but in 3D. And I felt that this idea of taping the shoulder seam or neckline was so much like working in the real world, because the weight of the garment was so much that you had to put some sort of resistance.
Right.
Resistance.
So, why we are showing this to you, because we just realized that, maybe it's a different form of doing things, but it's just really a language. Like everything else remains the same. There is grammar, and, there is sentence construction, there's everything. But you really have to know the traditional way of how we used to do things or still do things, and kind of use this medium or language to make it the digital representation almost as real as you know as the physical one. So yeah,
materials were very crucial in 3D. I think sometimes it's just all about the textures. Like in the physical sense, fabrics are so important for fashion. You can have a great shape, but not if you don't have a good fabric that does the justification for the shape, it doesn't work. So similarly here in 3D, you kind of have to use again the same sort of analogy. The visuals on the right are all digital, and the ones on the left are actual swatches. Things like artwork or print, you have to digitize. You can either create from scratch, or you can scan the fabric and then kind of work from there. Obviously, texture is very important. The sort of quality of it, the weight of it, the sheerness, all those parameters are quite important. And then you have to make this sort of a visual assessment as well, that how this fabric is going to fall, and that you can make only if you know in the real sense that this is how this fabric is going to fall, right? Working with fur was kind of interesting. If any of you have worked with fur, you would know that it is not an easy material. It frays so much, the construction techniques are so different. You have to follow certain protocols to get the right thing done. And similarly,
this is for fur.
This is for fur, right? Yes. We don't talk about the we don't do real fur or animal products. Thank you. That was a good call out, because we wouldn't want Helsinki Fashion Week to even use the word animal fur. So and it's again very important here, because a digital fur material would require more experimentation, more parameters, more settings, and all of that. Little bit like extra effort to get the right length of the hair, the texture, the shape, all of that. So again, there's like an analogy here that the faux fur is hard to work with in real life, and so is the digital fur. Okay. Okay, for some reason the last screen is not loading, but it was really just again those 3 looks, and this was actually part of a larger collection. So if you guys want to check out rest of the pieces, you can just follow that link. Yeah, so are there like questions? Because we would love to talk more about our ideas based on how others see, and kind of answer those questions. So we're super excited about our own look as well that we created for Helsinki Fashion Week. There are some teasers on our Insta page already. And do you want to talk more about the concept perhaps?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So, like the concept actually came from climate change, which is, something that is all the way more relevant, I think, every day of our lives on the planet. And we just realize everything is so fragile somehow. And, the look was inspired from that whole idea that, as humans, even the COVID-19 situation, if you really look at it, how we are still kind of, pushed everything away and, figured out new ways of working to kind of really go to where we are. So we are survivalists by nature as humans, and we really want to tread on, come what may, like we really not going to give up. And I think Helsinki Fashion Week is also a fantastic example of how we can still do things, even if we are maintaining social distancing, or we are in containment zones, these kind of very negative words that have been flowing out of late. But I think the inspiration came pretty much from that nature of humans.
It was very much about the current state of being, because in India we've been in lockdown since March, and the lives are so very different.
Yes, it's very different.
Digital is really a medium and tool that we think is kind of also helping us, express ourselves and
Right.
do things and
Yeah, thank
still be
God.
connected to the
Yeah.
world outside.
It's a lovely medium.
Right.
So,
Uh, what else should we talk?
uh, I think maybe we can talk a little bit about when you were showing that maybe talking about light, because that's also something that taking the thread from what you were showing of our little experiment, like how that whole practical knowledge of how light falls on different fabrics is also the same when you're doing it in 3D. I mean, it's something that we keep talking about, right? When we are going through various
Right.
renderings. I mean, some of the
Yes.
nuances, I think.
Like
Of,
same way when you, let's say, go to a store,
yeah.
the light in the store can make a fabric looks very
Luxurious,
different.
warm, or cold, or
Exactly.
like.
So you apply those parameters in 3D as well, to get the right effect of the fabric that you're trying to get.
It's very interesting.
Yes, so that's the kind of, like, again, it's not something you would learn typically in a fashion school, but you have to use your life experience to make those decisions,
Yeah.
But I think the big thing that we're talking here is that how um, our knowledge of being in the industry all these years and working with the products has really helped us has prepared us to do what we are doing right now.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
And also, how relevant we are. I think one of the questions we had was about India, right?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
how 3D is relevant to India. So, I mean, if we really have to answer this, I think we are, I mean, in India, it's as relevant as it is anywhere else in the world currently, because somehow with digital, there are no boundaries. And, India has been manufacturing some of, from fast fashion to some of the most luxurious couture, couture houses. For a long time, like our textiles are super rich, and we have been part of this industry for a long time. And for us, it's also the same way. This is a tool. This is really how we can make a difference. And obviously, it's an ongoing process. I think overall, like globally, right, we are still learning it more, and then there's obviously a lot of tech companies which are also trying to figure out how we can feel physically or smell
I know.
digitally.
I know
those are
that
like
that would
really
be groundbreaking.
Yeah,
Like,
so
imagine
I mean, we're going there.
to be able to touch and smell
Yeah.
virtually. Can't even wrap my head around it, but I have seen some experimentation, and I think that could be the next thing as well.
And so, okay.
Let's see.
What else do we want to talk about? Do you want to talk about anything?
Well,
maybe a little bit about what exactly we do. I mean, maybe some of the services.
Probably.
Yeah. If you want to take it up.
Yeah. So as we said earlier, that we are established as service providers. So what we really do is help brands and fashion companies realize, their product offering, but digitally. But it's not so much about just like doing it for them. It's also, as I was saying earlier, about educating and changing the mindset of the people that this is very much possible. And I think the best moment is when they see the result, when they see the actual how it has benefited them in embracing digital
sampling. Because most of the requests we get for let's say a very specific client generated digital sampling requests had been about about getting as close to the real as possible.
Yes,
right? I mean,
and that's what also differentiate no form from, I guess, any other similar business, because we are very much about product. We want to do things in a manner that it just looks very real. So you can see that being replaced entirely with a physical sample.
Yeah.
So we have.
Yeah. So, okay, so we do have a question here, which is, do you think we'll live that long to experience texture and scent via technology? I think it's not that far away, because the amount that we've been reading, obviously we don't have more details, and obviously we are not doing it. But, some coders and some tech, amazing people are actually working on it. I mean, I did it.
Technology moves a lot faster than we can imagine. And I think, the amount of development that we've seen in regards to the digital in fashion in last few years, I have no doubt that we will see something like that in coming years. It might come even sooner than we expect.
Yeah, it will be just here, or maybe as we talk, maybe somebody's working on it.
Right, like I always tell Nirajana that, all these great ideas, whatever we are talking or doing, just imagine that, assume that somebody's already working on it. And I think that's one of the things that we have thoroughly enjoyed all these months since we started, is connecting with like-minded people, and sharing some of our common interests and ideas.
Ideas, maybe stupid thoughts, or cool ideas, fun ideas.
The beauty of this is that we are digital only service providers, so we don't see physical, borders as the boundary for us. We talk to people all over the world, and it's just kind of, I think, pretty cool to be living in this time.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes everything so democratic in a way. Like this whole medium, or this ecosystem that we have of fashion right now, is far more democratic than what it used to be earlier. And I think COVID-19 is just one of the facilitators for it. I think fashion industry was already going through all these changes, but it was a lot slower. But this kind of really pulled the string, and it just happened super fast, and it's still happening. And I think the next few months will be amazing to see what all we've been doing, and what all we'll be doing, even the way we work all over the world, like be it in fashion or non-fashion, any industry.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah. So.
Well, it's super exciting to be doing what we do. I think the timing couldn't be better for us. We are at the right place, doing the right thing, and talking about the right ideas, and just like really enjoying meeting with digitally or virtually meeting with all the like-minded people from all over the world. And I want to thank you, Helsinki Fashion Week, for giving us this platform, this opportunity to kind of present ourselves. Thank you, Evelyn. Thank you, Lisa. Out of all the people who worked so tirelessly all these months to make this happen. This was a big undertaking, and I couldn't be happier to have been a part of this. And we would love to keep working together as well.
We do believe this is just the beginning of how we do things, and we do seem to be super aligned towards what's going on here, and it's fantastic to be part of this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that is it.
Yeah.
So once again, thank you.
Thank you so much. And
have a good rest of the day or evening, wherever you are, in whichever part of the world.
Yeah. Enjoy yourself. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.